Tommy.
If you're just joining us on Al Jazeera, we have been listening there to Ireland's leaders, the Prime Minister, the Foreign Minister as well, announcing today that Ireland will formally recognise a Palestinian state on May the 28th. We heard from the Irish Prime Minister first, Simon Harris, who said peace is possible, justice is achievable, and recognition of both as Palestinian state and an Israeli state is the cornerstone to which peace can be built. Simon Harris announcing again that Ireland will recognise a Palestinian state, just as Norway has done in the last hour, and Spain is expected also to do, or is doing now, they have in fact. The Prime Minister is speaking right now in Parliament in Madrid. Spain also announcing that it will recognise a Palestinian state. From the Irish, we heard the Prime Minister say that from Ireland's own history, it knows what it means to aspire to statehood and having full rights. Ireland, he said, believed in the fundamental rights of Palestinian people, and this was also a way for Ireland to show its unequivocal support to the two-state solution. Well, the reaction from Israel to these three countries, Spain, Ireland and Norway, announcing that they will recognise Palestine. Well, the reaction from Israel has been swift and very angry. The Foreign Minister of Israel, Katz, saying that, in his words, the Irish and Norwegian folly does not deter us, and we are determined to achieve our goals. He says Israel will not remain silent in the face of those who undermine its sovereignty and endanger its security. There will be serious consequences for the decision of Ireland and Norway, the Israeli Foreign Minister has said, and Israel has already announced that it's withdrawing its ambassadors from Norway and Ireland. Let's bring in Mustafa Barghouti once again, who's the Secretary General of the Palestinian National Initiative, joining us from Ramallah in the occupied West Bank. Mustafa, you were able to hear, I believe, what the Irish leaders had to say about their decision to recognise Palestine today. What is your reaction to what you heard, and also your reaction to the angry response from Israel?
Well, thank you. First of all, I think I would be speaking on behalf of all Palestinian people in welcoming this wonderful act by Ireland and Norway. And I'm sure the Spanish step will follow very soon.
They have, in fact. Spain has now also recognized Palestine.
Excellent. So 3 countries, hopefully Malta and Slovenia will follow. So we are talking here about a true, powerful, political and symbolic significant step. That means a lot in the direction of achieving freedom, justice, and just peace, as was said. But it is a very important step in determining the right of the Palestinian people, our people, for self-determination. Mm-hmm. And also it is a blow-up, it blows away a lot of the de facto facts that Israel has created through settlement building on the ground, confirming that Palestine today is a state under occupation. And so any efforts of the occupying power to change facts of the ground is meaningless and will not have an impact in the long run.
Right.
But also this is a blow, a second one, to Netanyahu and his extreme government and to the fascists in his government, after they were indicted by Netanyahu and Gallant were indicted by the International Criminal Court. It means that the act of fascism and the extremism in the Israeli government has no future. And the Israeli reaction of refusing these recognitions and claiming that it affects Israel's security is, of course, something that will not convince anybody. I think this is a historical moment and a big change.
Mr. Barghouti, let me ask you this. I mean, you say it's a historic moment, a hugely symbolic moment, but what does it change practically on the ground?
The main change is, of course, it could be perceived as symbolic, but it's more than symbolic. Because, in fact, what we have seen since 1967 is Israel's effort to change the status of the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem to make it Israeli. They annexed East Jerusalem. They are in the process of annexing the West Bank. They reoccupied now Gaza as well as all of the West Bank. So their goal is to annex the occupied territories and make it part of Israel and consistently ethnically cleanse Palestinians from this land. This plan is failing. And the fact that now we are a state under occupation means that whatever Israel did or does now in the occupied territories will have no legal value and eventually will have to be reversed. That is very important.
Yeah. We heard the three countries say that this move, they hope that this move will complement efforts towards a two-state solution and a secure, lasting peace between Israel and Palestine. But they talk about a two-state solution. Is that still something feasible today when you look at the reality on the ground? I mean, what impact is this move going to have on this peace process and this two-state solution that we keep hearing about?
Well, look now, the number of states that recognize Palestine is probably larger than the number of countries that recognize Israel. That's very meaningful. But on the other hand, of course, this will not become a reality unless Israel withdraws and takes away all its settlements from the occupied territories, unless Israel itself accepts the right of the Palestinian people to be free from occupation. But the value of what's happening is that the rights of the Palestinian people cannot vanish. And whatever Israel does, it will not go away. And of course, the only two solutions that are possible are either two-state solution where Israel would accept an independent, sovereign Palestinian state, or one democratic state with equal rights for everybody. The problem is that this Israeli government, and not only the government, but also the Israeli opposition, this establishment, wants a third solution, which is ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, which is exactly what they are doing now in Gaza and what they try to do in the West Bank. There is no future for such a plan. This is, I said, it's a historical moment from the perspective of telling Israel that all these fascist and extreme plans have no future, and they have to accept the Palestinian people as equal people.
But do you think this is likely to have a positive impact on the peace process?
Sorry, on what?
On the peace process. Do you think it will have a positive impact on it?
Here you have two factors that have to be changed. The Israeli position, of course, which is very extreme, and the American position, which is covering up the Israeli position. Without a change from the side of the United States, we will not see a peace process. But we will see the continuation of the Palestinian struggle, which is even more justified now with all these recognitions. I think it's now 12 countries of the European Union members that have already recognized Palestine. This means that the struggle of the Palestinian people for their freedom, for justice, and for self-determination is even more justified than it was. Until that moment happens, when the United States and Israel change, and they will not change without our struggle on the ground.
Thank you, Mr. Barghouti, for speaking to us. Mustafa Barghouti, the Secretary General of the Palestine National Initiative, joining us there from Ramallah. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get latest news from Al Jazeera.